I've just refitted the gearbox on my 1992 Nissan 300Zx twin turbo. He's just chopping a tree down, and I've just changed the downpipes whilst I had the gearbox out, which means they don't fit the exhaust anymore. So I'm underneath the gearbox, gonna re-top the transmission fluid. No, it's not leaking oil. That's all that WD-40 there that I sprayed trying to get that. Well, that's a drain plug. And that up there, which is basically for topping up the oil to break free. The tool I needed to get in there is actually 1/2 inch off the end of a ratchet. Well, for the top it was a breaker bar anyway, and as you can see there ain't a lot of room there to get a ratchet on it anyway. It's loose. I'm not expecting anything to drop out of here because it all dropped out the back, hence why we're topping it up. It would appear I lost quite a lot of transmission fluid. So got a problem. This here is the oil switch. I believe it operates a bit like a thermostat, and there's a hole in here which opens and closes, which lets oil in and out of these lines here which go to the oil cooler. But also it should have a wire on the end of it, which it does not, which I believe will start a pump up at the cooler end, which will pump the oil round. This here is the wire. So if I put that back in, basically my oil cooler will not work. However, because mine's a UK car, it comes with an oil cooler, but the JDM cars do not have an oil cooler, so technically I don't need it, and it can be bypassed by basically looping that from there to there. So we come down the back of the car to remove this cover from the oil cooler. I took these bolts out and they broke. Taking out most of the bolts, just one bolt to take out to get this off, to see what goes on behind closed doors. So that's the gubbins. It doesn't exactly look very healthy anyway, does it? I think I might just remove that and its pipes and just bypass it down that end. So oil cooler delete done. Basically I just took one of the hoses what went off to the oil cooler and I've just looped it round there and put the sensor back in there, which will just basically bung the hole up. So drain plug back in. Apparently my car takes 2.8 litres of transmission fluid, so I've got 3 litres of this stuff. Yep, dirty hands. We're gonna see if what they told me in the shop is correct, and this pops out with the syringe to put it in, which is indeed absolutely correct. So slight problem with that. I don't know whether they intend you to squeeze the bottle to get that, but yeah, that's solid, so that ain't gonna work. So I've got myself one of these. Yep, don't need that, but we got that. And we got that, and we're going to put that in that and then shove it in that. Yep, I'm putting piss in my gearbox. So that gearbox allegedly takes 2.8 litres. I've just put 3 litres in and it's nowhere near full. Granted, I am wearing some of it. This pump is also shit. Basically, nice noise. When you pump that down there like that, this plunger here, some of the fluid gets behind the plunger, and when you've done that and you've completely put what you've got in there, you've still got some left behind the plunger. What you have to do is then take that off, like so, and you have to put that over the top of one of your tubs of oil and put the well, yeah, what you've got left back in the tub. It also leaks out of there as well, so you get it all in your face when you're underneath it. That'll be full then. Clean up the mess because we overfilled it. So the internet said I needed 2.8 litres of this. I bought 3 litres and it wasn't quite enough, so I brought an extra litre, 16 quid, and basically I've literally used that much. So I've just removed this off of this line what runs from the cooler pump thing down there to the gearbox, and it no longer runs to the gearbox because I've basically bypassed it, because the sender what tells it to work isn't doing it anyway, and it doesn't look exactly clever. So basically I'm just deleting it. Yeah, the reason I've removed this is because it's got 2 bolts that go on the end here and they sheared off and I can't get them out, which means that this would just be hanging down to the end, and it's easier to take it all off is to try and sort out the problem. So yeah, I've took out all the bolts that hold that cover on there, so this is kind of loose there-ish, and up there there's a 10mm that I've got to get to. When I get that out, this part should all come free apart from down that end where I've got to disconnect it from that pump. Oh yeah, there's a hidden bolt there. Just that end. So this end held on by 2 hose clamps and a cable tie. And also a hidden 10mm bolt, because there's always a 10mm bolt somewhere. Yeah, that was messy. So that part's all gone. I'll put the cover back on over the pump because it's easier than taking all the pump off. And as you can see, I've put the 2 back sections of the exhaust back on, obviously leaving them here. And then what I've got to do now is go and modify this midsection with the cat in it so that it meets up with that, because it's too long at the moment. So these are the mid pipes in question. This here is the original downpipe, which I basically took off because that was spinning around inside it and I couldn't get it out. These here are this long. The Z1 downpipes, which I have fitted, come to about here instead. So basically what I've got to do is chop somewhere here and then re-weld that flange there. But obviously what I've got to do is eye this up on the car to work out where that'll be. And to do so, I'm going to need to get this cover off, this heat shield, which there's a 10mm bolt there, a 10mm bolt there, and there's one round there somewhere, and then we'll see where we go from there. Yeah. Whoops. Yep. Well, the last 2 were rounded, so I had to break out my old friend Mr. Grind, and yeah, we've chopped that one and that one. So now we've got the clamps off. We still need to bend all this lip off, both sides, because heaven forbid your heat shield comes off. Well, they're off. Pretty sure that hasn't really been doing much. So I've got the mid pipe here. Now the plan was to not drop it, but to kind of offer it up here to see what I need to cut off. But as you can see, that's not going to work. But in one of my previous videos, these AIV pipes, I said they were a piece of shit, which is kind of true, but they are also useful, because if we get a straight edge and we put it in here and then we go basically centre it out at the same angle to there, measure that distance. As you will see on this, there is an AIV line on here which connects up to that. So what we could do is then measure it the same angle, the same distance, and mark it on there. So what I ended up doing was taking a measurement from the bottom of the turbo flange there down to here, and it was 26. So I've basically kind of relayed that roughly and put some tape round there. And if you look at the flexi O's, that distance is about right as well. So I'm going to take a rough guess that that's roughly in the right place. Well, the deed is done, and I chopped that off as well. So, moment of truth, this is where we find out whether that fits or whether I need a custom exhaust. Although technically it is kind of a custom exhaust-ish. So I've put, well, I say I put the bolts in, they're just resting in because they're not the right bolts. And because this tube is actually thinner than that, I've got a little bit of manoeuvrability. I can slide it in, and then what I'm going to do is get some plate, basically drill a big hole in it and make a flange on there and put it in the right position. And just to prove a point, this is what I chopped off here. If I line that back up where it's supposed to go there, yep, just where it's supposed to be. Well, actually it's not where it's supposed to be, that's where it's supposed to be. So yeah, I'm going to bung that up somehow, and I'm going to put a flange on there. But anyway, I'm going to do the same for the other side. Hopefully it turns out just as good. There you go, that's both sides together, not bolted up. And in the right place over there, in the right place over there. And then in the right place here, if you just pull it back slightly. And that one's pretty much in the right place, so just need to make some flanges for those. These are the old exhaust flanges. As you can see, they are welded both sides, which means I can't cut them off, which means I can't reuse them, so I've got to get some new ones. I was going to get some plate and cut some myself, but basically the cost of the plate, the tools and stuff, it's not worth it. I'm having some laser cut, they're going to be a week or so we're going to end this video now, and in the next video I'll be welding up the new flanges, refitting the exhaust properly, and hopefully getting the car started and back on the road. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.